Hello everybody, good afternoon. Yes, as I said that I'm the assistant treasurer, and being the assistant treasurer, I'm also given the most unpopular role of being the head of fundraising, which is what I'm going to talk about today. Okay, please shut all the doors. Okay, but I'll start with telling you some stories about Nanyang University, most commonly known as NANTA. In 1953, the idea of a Chinese language university in Singapore was first mooted by Mr. Tan Lak Sai, who was then the chairman of the Singapore Hokkien Association. That was because at the time, the Chinese language secondary schools were producing a lot of graduates who have no opportunity of pursuing higher education. Therefore, a fund was thus set up to build a Chinese language institute of higher learning to meet the aspirations of the growing pool of secondary school graduates. From August 1953 to August 1954, more than 80 fundraising activities had been organized, cutting across all segments of society. But there is Mr. Tan Lak Sai at the groundbreaking ceremony of NANTA. Mr. Tan Lak Sai himself donated $5 million. The Singapore Hokkien Association donated 500 acres, or roughly about 2 square kilometers, in the western Jurong area, which was then largely undeveloped rural land. What was most breathtaking, however, was how ordinary people responded with a fierce passion to the call for a Chinese language university. I'll quote liberally from Tan Kok Chiang's My Nanta Story. Concerts and auction dinners were organized by Chinese voluntary associations all over Malaya and Singapore. The slogan was, "Those who have, give money. Those who have not, give their labor." In Chinese, 有钱出钱，有力出力. True to this spirit of grassroots engagement, hawkers, trishaw drivers, and laborers donated their earnings for the day. Hair salons offered 一剪 and 一电, perm and set, cut and perm for a cost. On May 4th, Chinese dance hall hostesses in Singapore and Malaya gave their day to Yiwu, dance for NANTA. It was a hugely successful event that collected some $20,000. There was a lot of money in 1954. Here, I want to tell you a little story about this guy who combined personal pleasure with doing his bit for Nanyang University. So he spent a most memorable day at Nantian Dance Hall in Chinatown. And however, the cause of NANTA could not satisfy his wife's rage when he got home. I don't know how many of you here have heard of Nantian Dance Hall. Okay, you are showing your age. Okay. Not many. Good to know that there are many young people out there. All right, I have heard of Nantian Dance Hall in Chinatown. In the 60s, my family lived in Chinatown, near Chinatown on Neil Road, to be specific. And my sisters and I, every time when we passed by Nantian Dance Hall in Chinatown, you know, where the old Majestic Cinema was, right? So every time we passed by the dance hall, we would raise an eyebrow. Little did we know that the dance hostesses at the dance hall, they were the true patrons of the community. Han Su-Ying too was impressed. She noted that everyone gave money The millionaires gave some millions. The hawkers of the Singapore food market gave a week's earnings every month. How many Olua, chili crab, and bak chor mee went into Nanyang University? The trishaw riders of Singapore and Malaya paddled for 3 days and turned in all their earnings for Nanyang University. And theirs was the greatest sacrifice, for they were so very poor, often at the bottom strata of society. Rubber tappers flocked to give. They knew that their children would never have a chance to go to university, and yet they donated, because it is their way of showing solidarity. It was incredible and magnificent, and it must be remembered. Now, what has this got to do with STP? The establishment of Nanyang University and the hundreds of thousands of ordinary people putting their hearts together for a common goal are stuff that legends are made of. While we at the SDP dare not compare ourselves with the utter dedication and the sacrifices our elderly comrades have put to their cause, we dare say that our vision is no less important, if not more. Our seniors wanted to build a university that promotes Chinese language, culture, and education, which were then suppressed and discriminated against by the British colonial masters. The SDP and Singaporeans today, we want to build a democratic, free and caring society. And we know that we can do it with your help. What the Nanta stories tells us is, what the Nanta stories tell us about Singaporeans is crystal clear. While Singaporeans are notoriously known to be kiasu and kiasi, I think that's a little bit unfair. We are actually a very passionate people who have a strong sense of justice, a strong sense of fairness, that everybody deserves a fair go. Singaporeans come forward when we see bullies using state apparatus to clamp down on our basic freedoms. Singaporeans come together when they see building owners cancel booking on the last minute, like yesterday. For we know that change will not come if we wait for some other person or some other time. We are the ones that we've been waiting for. We are the change that we seek. The SDP needs to build up our war chest of a few $100,000 to fight the PAP, who has already hundreds of millions in their coffers, thanks to the People's Association. It is true that money cannot win the hearts and minds of voters. What we lack in financial resources, we more than make up for with our passion, belief, and fighting spirit. Money is not the only answer, but it makes a difference. Such as paying for this function room at the very last minute after the previous venue management canceled our booking 1 day before the event. It's yesterday. Dear friends, you have always supported us. As the next general elections loom, we ask you to continue to give us your support. In the folder that you are holding, there is a page that explains the various ways you can donate to the SDP. There's bank transfer, pay now, check, online donation. Please take a few minutes to study the option that is most convenient for you to donate to the SDP. In fact, the easiest way to scroll down to the back of this room, there are 4 donation boxes, and we appeal to you to open your heart and your wallet. No amount is too small. We do not ask that you are like the trishaw riders of all, who donated their 3 days' earning. Neither do we ask that you be the hawkers who gave their 1 week's takings. Small acts, when multiplied by millions of people, can transform the world. One last quote before I go. The best way to not feel hopeless is to get up and do something. Don't wait for good things to happen to you. If you go out and make some good things happen, you will fill the world with hope. You will fill yourself with hope. Thank you.